There's a protest in Glasgow tonight against a UK-wide change to tax credits that's become known as the rape clause. The First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, has described the policy as disgusting, but the Scottish Conservative leader, Ruth Davidson, has challenged the Scottish Government to use its own welfare powers if it wants to do things differently. Here's our political correspondent, Glenn Campbell.
These protesters gathering in Glasgow are against the new policy restricting child tax credit claims to the first two children. And they're far from impressed by the exemption for women who conceive a third or subsequent child as a result of sexual violence.
In order to claim for a third child that has been conceived through rape, a woman has to fill this out and then she has to get a third party to sign it to say, yes, she has been raped. And this is the extreme measures and lengths they're expecting women to go to. I think it shows a complete lack of understanding around rape, sexual assault and the impact it has on women.
The Department for Work and Pensions says that women who have children through rape are specifically exempted from the two-child policy so that they don't lose out on benefit. And they say that such cases will be handled with compassion. But in America last week, the First Minister said the policy mistreats rape survivors.
They have to prove that the child was conceived as a result of rape. Now, it is a disgusting and disgraceful policy.
On social media, the First Minister said it was shameful the Scottish Conservative leader defended the policy. Labour's Kezia Dugdale said it was abhorrent that Ruth Davidson had chosen not to speak out against it.
They have the powers to change the system in Scotland, to end something that they say that they oppose, but they're choosing not to do it because they would rather attack the UK government than change the system in Scotland. And I think the First Minister continuing to do that and not putting forward proposals to change this opens her up to allegations of gross hypocrisy.
It's vile, it's cruel and it stigmatises not just the women but those children too.
The SNP say the so-called rape clause and two-child policy for tax credits should be scrapped across the UK. Glenn Campbell, reporting Scotland.
Good evening. There's a major row tonight over changes to child tax credits. It means the benefit is now limited to the first two children, unless a third or further child is the result of rape. The SNP and Labour have called the policy abhorrent, but the Department for Work and Pensions says it will be handled in a compassionate way. Gordon Cree reports.
This is what the row's about, the rape clause, in official form on an official form.
This is a horrific policy that would force women who become pregnant as a result of rape to have to choose between poverty or disclosing that rape to a benefits agency. I just think it's unacceptable.
The system has been pretty straightforward. The number of children determines the amount of child tax credits. But from now on, there's a cap at 2 children, so any third and subsequent newborns will not be eligible for the credits unless there are exceptional circumstances, such as them being the result of a rape. The Department of Work and Pensions says this reform ensures people on benefits have to make the same choices as those supporting themselves solely through work. But we've always been clear this will be delivered in the most effective, compassionate way with the right exceptions and safeguards in place.
It's the Scottish Government that has said that they disagree with the two-child tax policy. They say that it is wrong. They have the power to change it. They could introduce a new benefit tomorrow. They could have done it in the budget they've just passed. They've had 2 years to know that this was coming. They've not passed a bill apart from that budget in over a year. They had plenty of opportunity, but they've chosen not to, because I think we've seen this week that they would prefer to attack the UK Government than they would to actually use the powers they have to make a change in Scotland.
This MP had pushed for an emergency debate.
I want to get rid of the rape clause and I want to get rid of the two-child policy, which it stands part of, because the two-child policy will mean that families will be pushed into poverty as a result. If only the first 2 children in the family matter to the UK Government, how do they expect families to feed the other children in the family?
To make women who have been raped by a partner or another individual fill out an 8-page form to get the state benefits that they're entitled to, it is absolutely disgusting and abhorrent, and I cannot believe that Ruth Davidson supports it.
The government's position is there's been wide consultation on the policy, but it's clear that as long as it's in force, the anger won't be going away. Gordon Cree, STV News, Edinburgh.
Well, tonight protesters have gathered in Glasgow's George Square, calling on the UK government to scrap the controversial clause. Our Holyrood editor Colin Mackay is there for us. Colin.
Protesters will hear from speakers from the SNP, from Labour and from the Greens, as well as from women's organisations. They'll hear a message of support from the First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, who says that no woman should have to reveal anything as traumatic as rape in order to get benefits to support their children. She says that this benefits cap, this two-child welfare cap, is immoral and disgusting. Over the last few days, she and the Scottish Labour Party leader Kezia Dugdale have been attacking the Scottish Conservative leader Ruth Davidson for failing to stand up to the Prime Minister on this. They say she's been hiding from the media, but as you've just seen, she spoke to STV today and she's trying to turn the political tables on them, saying that they could do this at Westminster, at Holyrood, because they now have the powers to do that, and just by calling on Westminster to do it, it's just hypocrisy. But what the protesters here want, they want a U-turn from Westminster on these welfare reforms. But given what we've heard from the Scottish Conservative leader today, I think there's very little chance of a change of heart from the Conservative Prime Minister.
Colin at George Square, thank you.